To my show once again. Always a pleasure to be here, and always nice to have you out there watching. We're going to talk about some of the local issues, some of the things that are going on in the city of Fall River. As you know, week to week things do change, and we have some major things that need to be discussed. I have a guest who has been on many times before. He's very knowledgeable in regards to the city issues. He follows them very closely, and it's always a pleasure to have him on my show, and that's Dan Robillard.
Richard, thank you very much. Pleasure to be back.
Oh, you look spiffy tonight.
Oh, just
How is it out there? How's the weather?
It's a spring afternoon.
Makes you feel good, right?
Absolutely. Spring is around the corner. No more snow and
No jacket?
not right now.
Wow. So you just braved it.
Yeah, it's nice out there.
Good. Flowers are coming up, I notice.
Yeah.
So we'll be listening to the lawnmower shortly, and that's what summer's all about, right?
Correct.
Smelling the hamburgers from next door. So, Dan, what's going on with this? We got this reorganization of what they used to call the Department of Public Works. Now it's community maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's look, from a financial standpoint, this makes absolutely zero sense in my opinion. It's not a cost savings to the residents and taxpayers of Fall River. The building department is already within DCM. So now 3 guys in middle management from DCM their positions were eliminated. Now you're going to split one department into 2 and create 2 supervisory positions. No savings in my opinion. I believe this reorg makes no sense, and I don't understand why Mayor Carrere wants to do it. I really don't. Plus, very shortly, I believe we'll hear something about privatization.
Yeah.
Now, if in fact we privatize trash, you're further reducing the amount of work that DCM is going to have. So, you know, as I say, you're creating positions, 1 new position, 2 overall positions, and there's a good possibility that DCM will end up with less work. And the taxpayers will be paying more money at the end of the day.
Now, as you mentioned one time, maybe on this program, that the DCM has a lot of new equipment.
Absolutely. We bonded for trucks, carts, yard waste carts. Look, I'm not taking a position on privatization one way or the other until I see the details. My question is, if we do privatize, what happens to that equipment? Because there are bonds out for that equipment right now as we speak.
Now, there was something about the apartment fee.
Well, last night there was a city council meeting which I attended, spoke against the Department of Community Maintenance reorganization, which passed its final reading by a vote of 6-3, with Councilors Cabaceres, Mitchell, and President Kadim in opposition. But there is a proposed ordinance that would eliminate the $10 fee going forward.
Who put that forward?
I'm not sure. There were 2 sponsors.
2 city councilors?
Yeah.
Do you think they got approval from the mayor or talked to the mayor prior to?
Well, I mean, you know, during the campaign, then candidate Jazel Carrere said that he did not like the $10 fee. He made it at least a semi-central theme of his campaign. against then Mayor Sam Sutter.
But he said that he wasn't happy with Attorney Macy either.
Well, that's correct, but it's my understanding and that Attorney Macy was given a 3-year contract. I have that from a reliable source. If that's the case, then he had an option to buy him out. Probably wouldn't make sense to do that. He did say that he had a problem with Attorney Macy, and to be frank, I still have a little bit of an issue with that, only because as a retired judge, he can only work so many hours, okay, because he receives a pension from being a judge. So he's only allowed to work, I believe it's 960 hours in a calendar year, which I believe averages out to 18 hours a week, if my math is correct.
Oh, that's a killer, huh? 18 hours a week?
So, look, no one ever said Joe Macy wasn't qualified. He did. Mayor Correa did make that sort of a central theme in his campaign. But if in fact he did receive a multi-year contract from Mayor Sam Sutter going out the door, then I understand a little bit why he retained them. However, he should have said, the reason I'm retaining him is because he has a multi-year contract.
Now, so the reorganization went forward last night on a vote of 6-3.
Yep.
So the department is going to be split.
Absolutely.
Mr. Pacheco will take over, or just be the Director of Buildings and Grounds.
Yes.
And a new Community Maintenance Director will be put on.
Yep.
Do we know who that might be?
No, we don't right now. There's plenty of rumors, but...
well, let's hear the rumors.
Well, no names that I recognize, but there's rumors that this person is likely from Rhode Island and likely connected to the mayor.
So we seem to be going to Rhode Island a lot lately. Fall River still in Massachusetts? What is this about Rhode Island?
I don't know. The mayor did say shortly after he was elected as mayor-elect, he did an interview on a Rhode Island news program, 10 News Conference, and he told the interviewer at that time that he had intentions of bringing some of the best and brightest in from Rhode Island.
Okay, we don't have that in Fall River. Right? Isn't that been a long time a complaint by a number of city councilors that local people should be hired for local jobs?
Yep.
And now this mayor seems to be looking toward out to Rhode Island on many occasions.
Absolutely.
Well, that's interesting. So the department will be split, and that was the final reading,
yes,
so-called,
yep,
last night.
And as I say, it passed 6-3.
6-3. Any comments by the city councilors that need to be mentioned?
Look, I thought Richard Cavaceres was the most outspoken in opposition.
Articulate?
Absolutely. He just had all the numbers at his fingertips and just said, look, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he seems to be doing his homework.
Well, so far, as I've said to him and a number of the other candidates, I judge people on their entire record over a term. One vote, while it's a positive step, one vote doesn't make a term, in my opinion.
All right, so go ahead.
No, that's it. Obviously, I'm in agreement with Councilors Cavaceres, Mitchell, and Kadim on this particular issue. But as I say, a term of office is 2 years. It's a long 2 years.
Now, were there any real questions in regards to this reorganization?
Not at this particular meeting. When it first was proposed, there was a lengthy 3-hour committee on ordinance meeting before it was forwarded to the full council, in which the 5-member committee asked a lot of questions. Many of the 5 members expressed reservation, and it passed after that either unanimously or 4-1. I can't remember the exact vote of how it came out of committee. But, and that's one of the things that drives me crazy about the city council. They'll sit there, hammer and haw, ask questions over a couple hours, and then at the end of the, just when you're trying to prognosticate how the vote's gonna go, based on what they're saying at the committee level or even in the full council, they turn right around and do the direct opposite of what you think they're gonna do.
Well, that seems to be typical of what's going on these days. Hard to get an answer, and hard to pin down some of these politicians. So, if the collection of trash does get privatized, the city will not need a director.
Not for that division, no.
So actually, Mr. Pacheco is probably in safe territory.
Well, as director of buildings, clearly he'll have less work.
And he won't be, you know...
than he has right now. The incoming director of community maintenance, whomever that person is, if trash is privatized...
He'll be out the door?
Well, no, because there are several things that fall under community maintenance. But I would say right now, well, in the news, as you know, trash for the last couple of years has been the overwhelming topic.
Well,
but it's about...
Doesn't seem like the color purple is a favorite color in Fall
No.
River when it comes to trash bags.
No, but it's a large majority of that department. It's at least a third to a half of that department. There are.
So let me ask you this: has there been any, as far as you know, any real enforcement? Because I mean, there are still a lot of bags that are put out that are not the official bag of the city wants people to use.
Look, Mr. Pacheco has said that that there have been some citations issued. The courts are dismissing them.
So it seems like almost it's not even talked about anymore.
Well, look, bag sales are down. Enforcement is not where it should be, but we've known that right from the start.
So the collection, because they had projected a certain amount of money that the city would receive based on a purchase of the bags.
All the projections are off by at least $1 million or more.
Okay, and now we're talking about maybe the apartment fee will be removed? That would be even a greater amount of money, more money, not going into what they need as far as collecting trash.
Correct. As I say, it's in the proposed ordinance stage. It was referred there last night.
So go to subcommittee?
Yeah, and you know, the question is, and look, we know with every new fee that's come in, stormwater and others, okay? The rainwater tax, Will Flanagan wanted to get rid of it. It was illegal, it was this, it was that.
Yeah.
Okay, but the problem is that they start to become dependent on this revenue. So, you know, the $10 fee has brought in some new revenue in a sense that we never had this before, okay? And as we know with government never shrinks, it always expands. So once you have a new fee, a new tax, a new source of revenue generated, they can't live without it. It's almost like an addiction.
Yeah.
Tobacco or alcohol, they find some reason why they need this, you know?
Well, okay. Now, we have the school department. The school department is looking for, at this time, a new superintendent. And, well, because the current superintendent will be leaving, I guess, in June. She has a new job. There's a question whether she might leave sooner because of, I guess, accrued sick days and maybe vacation, things of that nature.
Well, yeah, I mean, I imagine what she's, and I'm not sure what she's got on the books, what her contract reads relative to that, but I'm sure that, you know, she will use all of that, unless, of course, there could be a buyback option where she could have the option, and I don't know this, but she may be able to be paid in cash for that. But one way or the other, you can bet that she will receive every benefit that she's entitled to before she departs this district at the end of June at the latest.
So we'll be looking forward then, very shortly actually, to people submitting applications to be the new superintendent.
Yeah.
But we know, it seems that, I think you might have mentioned this, and that is some of the people that are high up in the school department may not be seeking that job.
Well, we really don't know who the applicants are going to be yet. The Mass Association of School Committees will be involved. There may be some other outside consultant that gets involved with the process. It'll be interesting to see who the list of applicants are, because the names are likely not to be released until such time as we're down to close to the end.
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works. So we'll get the last 5 or 6 names, and most of the time, it's very hard to find out, which it shouldn't be hard. It should all be public record, but nonetheless, this is government, and usually we only hear about the last 5 or 6 finalists.
Well, the theory behind that is, or the argument, is that some of the applicants would not want to have their names revealed unless they were somewhere near the final.
Yeah, particularly if they're working in other districts.
Yeah, so that's the reason the school committee has formed a committee.
Yeah.
Not the whole
right
committee sitting.
The final interviews will be conducted before the whole committee, though.
Oh, yeah. So, anything you might have on your mind as far as a top issue in the city of Fall River?
Well,
spring is here. The city, you think the city will get cleaned up? The sheriff is going to have some people on the roads.
Yeah, you know, Richard, I watched that press conference the other day with the sheriff and Mayor Carrera and Councilor Cliff Ponte, who was the sponsor of a resolution asking for the sheriff to come down. But I seem to remember a number of years ago, and maybe not in this exact capacity, I seem to remember the sheriff was in here for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And then he was sort of possibly, we might say, excommunicated.
Well, there was this, you know, we don't want to see people with chains on. I mean, they blew this so far out of proportion. It was incredible. They had people scared that, you know, they're going to have murders and rapists picking up, you know, Coke bottles on a highway, on the streets.
Yeah.
But usually, as far as I know, these are people who've been incarcerated, not for really bad things, and They're usually close to being released. There's no reason for them, in a sense, to run or to commit a crime, and there's never been a problem. The sheriff had people actually they painted up the old district courthouse on Rock Street at one time.
Yeah, the
They
sheriff's,
did a great job.
sheriff's office has done a number of great community projects in a number of cities and towns.
And no inmates are forced to do this.
No.
They all volunteered to go out.
At one point, and I don't know how far it went, and shame on me for not knowing, but at one point there was talk of chain gangs around here, and that this is going back 5, 6, 7.
But I don't think it came from the sheriff. I think it came from people who were just spreading that kind of nonsense
Yeah,
about inmates being chained.
yeah. I'm not sure if that ever went anywhere, but most often the crews you see are on what they call the pre-release program, which means they're about as close as they could get to being released from prison, and they do any number of jobs outside in the community, under supervision, of course, and it's very beneficial to those places that are open-minded enough to let them come in.
So, are they coming?
As far as I know, according to the press conference, they'll be coming.
And, well, it will help to clean up the city. The city is, after the winter, usually you have a lot of debris on the streets, and, well, some of the parks and some of the other areas, when you drive, you can see a lot of trash.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess, do you think there'll be some community cleanups?
There are always neighborhood community cleanups, St. Anne's, the Flint, other organizations have citywide cleanups where all the neighborhoods pitch in, and there'll be a number of cleanups, I'm sure. We just hired another neighborhood coordinator from outside the city of Fall River.
Oh, yeah, we have no one. I mean, everybody's employed in the city. It's hard to get anybody.
We're in the midst of a charter review. That has taken on a new, we've hired a consultant to rewrite the charter.
Someone from Fall River?
No, he's from the Edward J. Collins Center out of the University of Massachusetts at Boston. That was on a vote of 8-1, myself being the only member in opposition. And the reason I was in opposition, very simply, Richard, I just didn't believe that we needed a consultant with a 9-member elected charter commission, elected by the people on November 3rd, 2015, which I was privileged to be one of those 9. I just thought we should have been doing the meat and potatoes of the work ourselves.
All right. Okay. How about the King Philip Mill? That's been in. You're a South Ender originally.
I am, and once you're a South Ender, you're always a South Ender.
You get pinned with that label. You can't escape.
No, and I don't want to escape.
Your mother and father were for the South End. Right?
Absolutely. I lived close to 25 years on Slade Street.
Right next to the church.
Yep. And St. Patrick's School was just sold recently.
Yeah.
Bought out by Rite Aid, and that company was bought out by Walgreens.
So what's going in there, if you know?
Well, eventually, I assume that Rite Aid or Walgreens, if that merger is eventually approved. As of now, it hasn't been, but I would assume right now Rite Aid is the owner of the former St. Patrick's School property.
They're working on it.
Yeah, the school is, they're working on it daily as we speak. It's on its way down, and I would assume that Rite Aid will be in there.
They're going to take it down?
Oh, the school is going to be knocked down.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is.
That's I mean, that was a very, very, impressive structure.
Yep. As far as the King Philip.
So another landmark just won't even be there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
There's no doubt that that building is coming down, and I expect that Rite Aid will move its current location
On South Main?
on South Main over there.
That's interesting.
But as far as the King Philip Mill, this
You know,
is
that's a one-way street along, from South Main up along the school. That's one way heading east.
yep.
I guess unless they have a back entrance, entrance and exit from,
Yeah.
from the other street there.
They'd have to, because as you say, it's a one-way.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
But the
King Philip Mill?
the King Philip Mill, just a disaster. Just, I can't stress enough what a danger that building is. And the fact that it's taken this long shows the bureaucracy that, you know, and you've got all of these groups, the preservationists, the Historical Commission, the Preservation Society. These guys, they just want to save everything. You know, and somebody said to me this week, may have even been yours truly, why don't they put it in the north end? And if they want to save it, and I think that'd be a great idea.
Well, that came out of a neighborhood meeting in the South End.
But
As I recall, someone suggested that if you want to save it, take it in the North End and save it.
But you know, Richard, in all honesty, no matter where they were to put that mill is a danger. That mill is not a savable structure, and particularly in the way the South End is constructed, if that mill goes up where it is right now, there are going to be blocks of the South End destroyed. I mean wiped out. Kilburn Street, Birch Street,
Hey, you're scaring me now. I live close to it.
you know.
I better get a good, powerful water hose.
Literally, Jane Darcy has been a advocate, along with so many other really committed, strong.
She lives right across the street.
Yeah.
Her house, if that wind is blowing west, her house is just going to explode in flames.
You know, really, I give the South End neighborhood and its residents tremendous credit for, you know, sticking with the issue, because it really is a public safety real concern of dire consequences, and that building should come down immediately.
Now, they talked also about Cook Pond. Well, we're down to the end of the program, so anyway, Cook Pond was brought into the discussion in conjunction with the King Philip Mill. That, you know, that's sort of a project that is tied together in a sense. So anyway, here we have it. We're down to the last few seconds. I'm glad to have you out there watching. And Dan, thank you for coming on to the show.
Richard, thank you.
And we'll see you next time.